following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, and welcome to 50 Shades of Bullshit. I'm your host, Christine Lalonde, and this is the podcast where we uncover the truth about online dating. Now let's begin. Hey everyone, I'm Christine. I'm your host, and this is 50 Shades of Bullshit, where we talk about modern dating, finding love, and finding ourselves. Today, we're doing things a little differently. Looks like my co-host Jada cannot make it today. So we have our guest, Melissa Louise, on with us. I want to say welcome, Melissa.
Thank you. It's so exciting for me to be here again.
Oh,
I love
know.
This
Thank you. We had so much fun the last time you were here, and I couldn't wait to have you back. And I love watching your Instagram stuff because you always have so much sexy, fun topics to talk about. And when I saw your talking about magic of sex, I was like, oh, here we go. We're getting you back on. So thank you for coming back.
Yeah, so much pleasure.
For those of you who did not hear the last episode that Melissa was here, you need to go back and check that out. At some point, I'll take a look and tell you what episode that was. I think it was 40 something. So it's been a while since you've been here.
What episode are we up to now?
We're at 73. Woohoo!
How much fun.
I know. So Melissa is your leading pleasure advocate. She is an erotic blueprint coach and sex and intimacy relationship expert. And, there's nothing like being a sex expert. I call myself a sex expert myself. Right. I tend to think that I'm a sex expert myself just by trial and error. Melissa, though, she supports women who reclaim their divine birthright to feel alive, orgasmic, and turn the fuck on no matter what their age or relationship status. And she also works with men to be more attractive, powerful, trustworthy, and make more money, find freedom by lasting longer in bed. Holla fucking Luya. We need you, Melissa. So I'd love to hear what you mean by the magic of sex.
So many things. So
I think sex is magical. Hello.
Sex is magical.
Yes.
So
yeah.
When we look at our current culture of, the environment that sex is presented to us and what it's for and all of these things around control, the majority of us have sex in the corner. It's something that, we do at the end of the day. It's something that you're looking for a partner to do. And it's this activity or this act that we do with another that sort of, it's the principal attraction at the beginning of a relationship, but it's something that many people are very willing, and we're also conditioned to let go. And yet the magic of sex, so we have sex magic, which is, part of this topic that I'll get into in a little while. But the magic of sex is when we have intimacy. And what is sex? Sex is how we satiate our desires. So it's another, assumption that many people walk around with, that sex is, penis in vagina, penis in anus, or fingers in vagina, or it's this penetrative into, one or two orifices, and that is sex. And yet sex is how we satiate our desires. Like the environment or the playground of sex is everything. Being an erotic blueprint coach, like my whole world is open to how we eat food is sex. We can do breath work with one another, like for people that come up with an energetic blueprint. You can be eye gazing and sort of moving energy through your body and that is sex, because you can, completely erupt in orgasmic pleasure from that. So when we're bringing intimacy and sex in the center of our relating, the magic that it creates, what it's doing to our hormones, how it resets a woman's hormones, how it dispels a lot of arguments, how you actually create a lot more money, you have more happiness, you're healthier. You will spend 80% less at the pharmacy if you've got, do you know what I mean? It's like let's have a look at where how many times are you going to, how much energy is going out trying to fix yourself whilst your partner's alone at home and you're walking to the pharmacy. So the magic of sex is like bringing intimacy, connection, sex. Our bodies need it. When we look at the women's, for those women that are still bleeding, if we look at the menstruation cycle and we look at ovulation is such a tiny part of a 28-day cycle. And then we have the spiritual ovulation. We won't go into that today. But if we've got our physical ovulation and spiritual ovulation, this is less than 1/4 of a cycle that our body can play. So we have so much more time to play. So the magic of sex is so broad, and procreation is actually a very small part of it. But our culture, through religion and control, has made it the grand part of it, when it's like, it is a part of it. But the magic of what sex is designed for our health, our wealth, our happiness, our well-being, our ability to move, for our emotions to move through us when we are stagnant and we're cortisol driven and we're stuck. It's like we need to have movement of sexual energy to release. I agree. So many layers to that. But it's the magic of sex is using it for our body, for our brain, our heart, our organs, our skin, everything.
So. Well, I think that you're right. There's a lot of stigma around what we should or shouldn't be doing with sex, especially with women. I think that a woman's body and desires and anatomy is so foreign to the male population that they are, I don't know. This is my opinion. Okay. So it's just my opinion. I believe that there's fear based behind it. So when there's fear based behind something, you tend to be prejudiced towards it. You tend to be fearful of it. And when you don't understand it, you want to control it. And I think that women and women's bodies have been controlled for so long, and they started to lose that control, and now they're trying to rein that control back in. And when we are such a mystery, which is ridiculous because we're very vocal about what we want most of the time. If someone just listened, then, I don't think that there would be such a mystery behind it. Now, as an example, this week, so my boyfriend lives a little over an hour away. He lives in Orange County. I live up in like Burbank, LA area. And when we're together, it's magic all the time. I mean, that's seriously magic all the time in the way we are around each other, and the way that we communicate, we touch, we, have sex, whatever. When I'm up here, so I see him every other week, because I have my kid every other week. So I spend a week with him and then a week with my daughter, at home. And when I'm not with him, I'm so busy that by the end of the week, I'm losing my mind. And I realized that it's because I'm not stopping to pay attention to my needs and my sexual desire. And obviously I'm not a cheater. I'm not going to go out and look for other men while, I'm in this relationship, but I need to self-care in my own pleasure. And I tend to put that to the wayside because I'm so busy thinking about everybody else that I have to take care of during this week, my clients, my work, my daughter, my other daughters, my grandkids, you know what I mean? So I tend to, forget that. And my body goes haywire when I don't focus on that. My mind gets cluttered. I get frustrated. I get annoyed. And you're right. When we are in tune with our own selves, even not just with a sexual partner, we really are on it. My brain works better when all those chemicals are rushing through my body the way they should be, because our bodies were built this way, right? We're
Yeah.
meant to have pleasure. We wouldn't have
Pleasure
it
is,
if we weren't meant for it.
well, and also pleasure is the cornerstone, like what you're talking about, like this sort of feast famine side of way of living. It's like, oh my God, I've got to be on, and I'll do without. But how the woman's body has a very different makeup of the hormonal structure. Yeah. So we have between 13 and 15% less, 13 and 15% of the amount of testosterone that men have. So this is also a part of the vilification of women, the danger of us, and we're hussies, we're this, we're too much. By women, believing that sort of narrative, it's so detrimental to our health, because our health is intrinsically centered in pleasure. Because once we finish using our testosterone, which if we're parents and we're working, basically 9:30 a.m. all of our testosterone's used. It's like, if you're getting
Before
up at
lunch.
7, by 9:30, 10, we're now running off cortisol, because as soon as the testosterone's been used, now we're using cortisol. So when women, you're spending a week running on cortisol. Cortisol is stress, disease. This is how our illnesses, disease is happening. So then we're in frenetic, like you become frenetic, you're depleted. As we all know, when we stress, the type of decisions we make. So, and looking at pleasure is not just like going for the orgasm and doing all it. It's like pleasure is also, how do we elicit pleasure, rest, seduction and sensuality into our life as a way of being able to keep on moving. Like the way that women work in the world is really different to men, but our world is made by men for men. Every structure, every system is a masculine based structure that does not take into consideration half of the population.
Exactly.
Done. I'm done.
I accidentally came across this. I don't even remember how I saw it, but I came across something earlier today that it had a woman with another woman on a podcast, a female host, talking about how men don't want women who are promiscuous or have a high number count or are experienced in bed, that all they want is virgins. And this host was saying that she agreed that women should stay virgins until they marry and blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking, but I don't know. I just feel like,
Can I blow the lid on the word virgin? You're a virgin, I'm a virgin. Men cannot be virgins. A virgin is a woman who is autonomous in owning land and property without the signature of her father, brother, or husband. So you're a virgin. I'm going to be a virgin to the fucking day I die, and no man is ever a virgin. So let's just fucking blow that out the water. And this concept of having women not in this, what's a body count? I don't fuck men so they die.
Right.
I fuck them to make them better men. Like they become better, they become more enriched. It's like throw your gifts around, for fuck's sake.
Oh, I agree. Well, I just think it's weird that people are so concerned about what women do within their own sexuality and trying to keep us from being, just ourselves. And ooh, I'm getting a really bad echo. I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's not coming through.
Okay, good. It's just mine then.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that people are just so concerned about who we are sexually and what we're doing sexually, that they're not thinking that we're all just human. We are built with these desires and these needs for certain hormones, and we need to take care of that. If we don't, I think, like, what came to mind is, like, say a woman who's been married her whole life and she loses her husband, and then the last 20 years of her life she is no longer with a man and she doesn't date and she just lives her quiet life, and she's probably never really thought about her own pleasure, and they start getting sick. they die earlier. And I think it's because we're lacking something emotionally, physically, mentally, and hormonally without having some kind of pleasure in our life, sexual pleasure.
Yeah, the depletion, the lack of pleasure will lead to death. Do you know what I mean? It's like we will die. Of course, we're all going to die at some stage. But then how are we going to die? And also that example that you give, I mean, that's where we're outsourcing. Like women, this the couple, the podcast and the speaker that you heard, they're buying into the narrative that the women have to outsource for their pleasure. They can only have pleasure if someone has deemed them worthy enough to have it and they've been chosen as a wife. But that type of relationship is not a monogamous relationship. It is a monopoly relationship, which means controlled. It's a controlled relationship. You will only have pleasure the way that I deem it to be, the way that the system deems it to be. And so therefore we're outsourcing. We're not autonomous or sovereign for our own pleasure, our own body, our own needs. We are handing it over to another. And often that other is deeply rooted in a system that has none of their interests at heart anyway. It's a system of control. I mean, we could speak here for hours around, that's this perception of where that the women are in the conversation, but they're not speaking about the men. So if a woman's not meant to have a body count, where is the same conversing or the same, conversion towards the masculine? Is the men allowed to have a body count? And this whole, but also too, this vile language of body count.
I agree.
It's making it so filthy and demeaning and horrible. It's like as if when you sleep to someone, it's just nothing. Yeah. Our languaging is horrible.
Yes, it is. And it's not beneficial for us at all. So you were saying earlier, I missed how you said that. You said, we're talking about the magic of sex today. And you said something about sex magic. Is that what you were saying? Yeah, I'd love to hear more about this.
Sex magic. And then, yes, and I'd love to get into like how couples can bring more, the magic of sex and bringing it in and the ways to bring it
Absolutely.
in. Because often too, we're very focused on, I don't have time to have sex, as opposed to all the little things that we can be doing. And I'll give you some juicy examples that I'm in at the moment. I'm having fun, can you tell?
And this is why you're here today.
This is why I'm here. So the magic of sex magic. So sex magic is the oldest way to I mean, we're always manifesting. We're manifesting, manifestation is energy. So we do create everything. We are a part of that creation. We're not sort of bystanders of our life. We are creating our life. So sex magic is a way to bring about creating what you want. So if we think of the example that we all know about sex magic is human life. Are you fucking serious? A whole human grows. I mean, I'm an adult now. Like I started as this like little thing. It's like, it's insane. So that's the magic, it's creation. The other way that we use sex magic, you can use it individually, you can use it as a couple. So say a couple, you're in relationship and you want to move to another country. You want to have a baby. You want to, you want to buy a new house. You want to go and live somewhere. You both, it's all different ways. Like when you're having a fuck session or a lovemaking session, which, in my world, that's once a week, you have one session, a large session that's about 3 hours a week minimum. And you devote that session to, what you're manifesting. So you're both, as you're in your pleasure and your joy, you're thinking about it, because that energy goes into the cells. You're even changing your blood with this sort of, the positive vision. And you may have it on your vision board. You've got all what your house wants to look like. It's going to be this. It's got this many rooms. It's going to be in this street. It's going to be in this city, blah, blah, blah. It's up there, and you're both making love and all your sensuality to that vision. And then when you both, have, an orgasm together, and even like with the fluids of your body, you can, put it on the altar. You can, like, as you're drinking the fluids, you're thinking about what you want. This shit works. I've done this with when I was leaving Vancouver. When I was living in Vancouver, I arrived. I'd been in a relationship. I arrived. We separated on arrival. So I'm in his house. We were still like, and I needed a new house. Like I've got my son. We just left Costa Rica, and I needed a house. And
Okay.
I needed a house like within, 48 hours. I'm packing up my stuff and he's helping me clean. So I'm like, all right, I didn't tell him what type of house. I didn't let him know, like, because we were, that to me was a boundary, but he knew, like, he was on call. If I, like, come to the bathroom, and so we'd do fellatio. We would kiss passionately because we're still so hot for one another, but the relationship wasn't going to work. So I used all of that energy whilst I was cleaning up the house and doing all of this sort of sex magic stuff with him. He didn't know exactly what I was, what type of house it was. That afternoon at 4:00, I get a message from someone, hey, I've just seen on Facebook, boom, boom, boom. And it was only around the corner. I walked up the street. I had the house within, before sunset. It was amazing. And I've done it I've been in airports where I've used my own orgasm to get, like, because it's releasing energy. It's like the contraction of energy, like there was that time in coming from Costa Rica to Mexico. We've got all of our luggage. There's a layover for more than 12 hours, which basically means you have to immigrate, then rebook in. But I've purchased a flight to Vancouver from, Costa Rica. So, I didn't, at that stage, this is so long ago, I didn't have any money. I couldn't rebook my luggages. I had a kid we needed to get through and sleep. So it was just 2 hours of trying to negotiate this whole scenario. And I'm just like, what am I doing? This doesn't work. This is the masculine way. Talk, talk, talk. So I go to the bathroom. I have an orgasm. As I'm having a quick little clitoral orgasm, I visualize us walking through, not paying. I come out. There's this gorgeous man with a diamante snake brooch. I don't know where, like, I've been at this counter for 2 hours. He just walks up. Miss Melissa? I'm like, yes. Because I'm just here to let you know that I'm going to take care of everything. This situation is something that I don't think you or your son should be going through. And he just organized everything and he accompanied us all the way through. We didn't have to pay for luggage again. He got us somewhere so we could sleep. I mean, story upon story upon story upon that, like needing to make sales when I had a clothing business, all of this. What you're doing is releasing contraction. So you can use a quick clitoral orgasm as a woman. As a man, you can masturbate and think about what you need. This is great for men in business. Ejaculating for a man means you're getting rid of it. You're throwing all of that creation in the bin. It's learning to raise it up your spine. But in arousal, you can kiss passionately with your lover. And it's like say you get, perfect example, you get to a restaurant, they go, sorry, we're fully booked, and you so want to be in that restaurant. Just go around to the balcony of the elevator and just drop all of the need that there has to be an outcome, passionately a kiss, bring all of this energy in. And I swear 9 times out of 10, they go, excuse me, we've just had a cancellation. Like universe, you can't manipulate if it's for the better good.
Right.
But this is the magic of sensuality and sexuality. There's so, you can masturbate to your vision board. If you're masturbating to your vision board, all of that energy of you're visualizing it, you feel it, the excitement of having what you want. That is the creation.
Exactly.
It is sex magic.
Yeah, I don't know if you know, but I am a master manifester. And not too long ago, I heard about how to manifest with an orgasm. And I was like, what? And I was like, wait a minute, they're onto something here, because exactly what you were saying, it's releasing the need for the outcome. It's living within the moment of the manifesting, and it's releasing things within your body and within the energy outside that is taking that manifestation to another level. And when I tell people all the time that I manifest, and I just don't typically say, oh yeah, I manifest with orgasms. I say all the time, I manifest with water, I manifest with, numbers, but, adding that source of energy is incredible. Now we have listeners who do comment once in a while, and we have this really great follower of our show, Phil. He's like, sex, I vaguely recall what that is. Well, Phil, you must have missed the beginning of the show. I think you're funny. I love you, Phil. You're the best. And I absolutely love having you come and listen to our show all the time. But I get that you're making a joke, and I you probably haven't had a sexual partner a while, if that's what you're saying. But what Melissa is also saying is that sex can also be with ourselves and learning our bodies and releasing our sexual energy. And sometimes, and I find this from my past before I was in a relationship, when I would go on a date, if I would like do these crazy little tests, to see how it would work. And it's like practicing with manifesting. I practice manifesting all the time to remind myself how good it can be or how easy it can be. And so I would practice. I would think, okay, well, this guy, I'm not really kind of into him, so I'm just going to go on a date and be normal, whatever. And then if there was someone that I really wanted him to be really into me, I would masturbate before the date. And the energy that it brought was horrendously different. I mean, not horrendously, magically different. So I don't know where the word horrendous came from, but most of my dates were horrendous. That's probably why. But I found that so if you are practicing masturbation and sexual pleasure, and then when you go to interact into the world, you're attracting different types of sexual energy. So maybe, Phil, if you're thinking about, wanting to find somebody or be with somebody sexually, maybe allowing your sexual energy to project or lead the way.
Can I just speak to something about that, love?
Yeah.
When we in Tantra, there's the 4 pillars of Tantra, and also science talks about this. Joe Dispenza talks about this. It's like where we place attention, energy goes. So when we're in deficit and we're like, and this is that thing of outsourcing, if you're in this space of like, I haven't had sex, I haven't had pleasure, I need someone to get, no one's going to be attracted to that. No one's going to come along and go, I will give all of myself and fill that person up. They will be attracted to something that is going to light them up. So it's exactly what you're saying. Is like we can't draw to us what we're not doing for ourselves. And sex, and like sex, having sex with ourselves is so necessary. Otherwise, then once again, you're outsourcing. The other one's going to have to do all of this stuff so I feel pleasure. And that's really fucking irresponsible. It's also not fair. I mean, I get really clear with this. If you're only having pleasure, you're needing someone else. It's not fair on them because of all of the fucking pressure that they've got to give you what you need. And it's also too, it's like you're this empty vessel expecting them to fill you up. You need to meet each other and go for more greatness, So it is that thing when you start masturbating and having your arousal and finding, this is where the erotic blueprints come in. If you're energetic, sensual, sexual, kink, like find all of these different arenas that you find pleasure and fill yourself up. So he's going to go, I want some of that. They're not looking at someone that's like depleted and depressed and diminished of pleasure and going, oh, I want some of that. It's like it's a repellent, because it's too much work. And so it's not to, it's like we need to fill ourselves up before we can go to someone else. And it's also, we need to have responsibility for our own pleasure.
Well, it's funny that not funny that you say that. It's interesting that you say that because sometime this past year, my daughter's 16. When she was 15, we sat down and, I was worried that she was going to be the same way my older 2 daughters were. And that was when I tried to talk to them about sex, it was like, Mom, they're gross, go away. They would not talk to me about sex. They would not let me. Oh my God, Phil. Yeah, go home. You're probably already home. Go have a good time, Phil. They would not talk to me about sex, period. And my youngest one, I was afraid was going to do the same thing. But she actually openly asked questions and discussed with me. And the first thing I said to her was, if you are interested in learning about self-pleasure, or you want some kind of like vibrator or something to assist, I'm happy to get that for you. And I'll probably just do it anyway. But I said, I'm happy to do that for you because I really feel that it's our own responsibility to know what we want and need sexually. Because if we don't know, our partner is not going to know. We can't communicate to them what we need because they're not mind readers.
Mm-hmm.
They can't magically know what our bodies need or what our pleasure zones are. We have to help them, direct them, talk to them, experience it with them. And we don't know. If we don't know, we can't tell them.
That's
and I
right.
told my daughter, it's our own responsibility. It's not the man's responsibility to turn our pleasure zones on. It's ours. So I agree with you on that. I think it's really important that we explore our bodies and learn the magic of our own sex before we can
Mm-hmm.
experience magic with other people sexually.
Yes.
So you were saying that you had some things for us. You were going to enlighten us on some fun stuff.
So this is it's such a common thing that I hear around, and as we know, we live in a society that just has us working, keeping us away from pleasure.
Right?
And often, many couples will find that they're, a decade in or 3 years in, 5 years into, and all of this perception that there's not enough time. And it's like, well, you are a creative of your own life. It's like, what have you filled it in with? And you've decided to fill your life in with busyness instead of pleasure. So then we start
you make your own
looking at-
schedule.
You make your own schedule.
Yeah.
And also too, if you are in a relationship with someone that said yes to you, you fucking well own it to them to bring the relationship back in the center. Like it's, otherwise it's this control factor. So I always say it's like this, wherever we place attention, energy goes, and that will grow. So find 10 minutes. Yeah. If you can't find 10 minutes a day, then you do not deserve your partner. And I get really fucking clear about that. You do not deserve to have someone in your home, raising your children, being with you alongside of you. If you can't find 10 minutes, that will go to 15, that will go to 20 minutes a day. And when we're looking at intimacy and connection, it's like, if it's just an eye gaze, if it's, you start off with that, if it's just a hug, if it's just like sending, sexy little sensual messages on the phone to ignite the brain. And then that will start to grow to more, because the nervous system also too, we spend so much time in stress, and it's just in stress as opposed to actually action. We're in stress, and the actions that come out of stress create more drama. Yeah. So as your nervous system starts to settle, more time opens up. And it's just also this fun thing about what can connection dates look like? And a date can be 10 minutes. It's like maybe you meet, you message your lover. Like if you and your partner are out working in the city, it's like, I'm having coffee at this cafe. meet me in the bathroom in 17 minutes. Yeah. Are you close? Yes, I'm okay, awesome. Let me know when you're getting out of the car and come in. I'll keep the, just knock on the door once, or let me know you're about to walk in the cafe and I'll open the bathroom door, and have a big fucking snog, have a big juicy kiss, or have a fellatio date. I mean, this is what I'm in at the moment. I've got this new young lover whose opening line to me was, I practice ejaculation control. And he goes, I hope that's not a problem for you. I went, oh, you have no fucking idea. We're on, is what I said. That's your opening line.
God, I love it.
Thank you, God. There is a God. And because, he works on a timeline up in the States. I've got my own business. I'm doing other stuff. We basically have 17, 15, 20 minutes, and we're only 4 blocks away. But Jesus, so I will go down to his house. I set an alarm. I walk into, I say, oh my God, I really feel like, giving you fellatio. Do you have? And he goes, not now, but I do at 3 o'clock. I'm like, okay, if I pass by at 3, I've got 10 minutes. Awesome. Instead of going, oh, we've only got 10 minutes. I go in there 10 minutes. I say, you better have your pants down. I'm setting the alarm, and I set the alarm. When the alarm goes off, I leave. I mean, what that does, like the dopamine, the adrenaline. So we find 10 minutes here. You can bet the next day there's a 20-minute slot. You can bet, and okay, look, let's, reschedule stuff so we can have a whole night. By staying focused on what you don't have, oh my God, we don't have 3 hours. You will never get 10 minutes if you stay focused on, we don't have time for sex. Yeah. You have time for connection. I mean, if you've got children in the house, you had time at some stage, like you've got you produced humans somehow, and finding these moments and bringing so much fun and play into it. And when we're looking at sex is how we satiate our desires. It's like, date nights, instead of going out for dinner, go to a rope tying workshop. Doesn't matter if it doesn't, neither of you like it. It's curiosity and information. Go, blindfold each other and feed each other dessert. It's a 20-minute date. Babe, I've just made the best. Sit down. I'm going to blindfold you and just receive, and just find lots of, you've got to stay interesting. You have to stay interesting. You have to put effort in it. People run their businesses. They have business meetings every month. Okay, who's got an idea about this, that, or, and then their relationships are fucking dead. Whilst they're like, new Instagram posts, new this, new advertising. And it's like the person at home is like, well, we're just going to do the same thing. Right. You wouldn't run your business that way. Right. So don't run your relationship that way. And it's,
I agree. When I was single for a long time. I was a dating fiend, a professional dater. And I can't tell you how many times I would go out with somebody who was divorced and couldn't stop talking about their ex and about, whatever. And I'd say, okay, well, since you're on the topic and you feel the need to unleash and unload on me, why don't you tell me what was your contribution to the fail of your marriage? And they would look at me and they go, my contribution. I was like, yes, what did you or did you not do for the fail of your marriage? What was your percent? What was your part of it? Percentage. And they would say like, well, we never had sex. She never wanted to have sex with me anymore. And I said, well, did you turn her on? Did you give her foreplay? Did you tell her she was hot? Did you squeeze her butt and say, I can't wait till the kids go to bed? What did you take her on dates? Did you book a hotel and role play? And they would look at me like, what this chick is not for me. Yeah, I'm not for you.
And neither is any woman in her right mind.
And men, I get it. I get it. I get both sides. I've been on both sides. I've been inundated with 3 kids, taking care of everything by myself. Husband just went to work, came home and did his own thing. That sucks. When you don't feel sexy, you don't project sexy when you're in that type of relationship. I've been there. But it's like, I have to say, I've always had this mindset that I need to put more into it. So I would try to dress sexy, or I would try to do something else, or whisper things in his ear like, oh gosh, I can't wait to feel your hands on me. And he'd go, yeah, not now. And it's like, I wasn't talking about right now. I was talking about whenever we have 2 fucking seconds to put your hands on me. You know what I mean? So it's like,
the creation of the erotic space. And that's, that's actually something, I had a client today and we're really talking about that, about the missing between her and her husband, where, and this was my story as well. It's where just to have a juicy kiss doesn't mean it's going to lead into sex. And these are the conversations to have. So in that bit where it's like, I can't wait to feel your hands on me. This is a conversation later. It's like, hey, babe, when I say that, I'm just alluding to the promise and the possibility, because we need to have a commitment to one another to work out what works for each other. Like, it may not be your thing to be like, giving words and saying that, but if that's what your partner enjoys, the commitment is to take part in that. Yeah. It's like, otherwise, why are you together? You're not in a solo race alongside of someone else on a solo race, living on hope. It's about conversing. People will converse about the bills, they converse about the kids, but they won't converse truthfully about what they need, what they desire, what that looks like, how that can be given to them, how can they support their child. It's like going out and going, okay, let's have a really honest conversation, and I say, I need more intimacy. What does intimacy look like to you? I need more touch. What does touch look like for you? And you can give a whole array, and there's, I'm able to do this. I'm able to do this, but I'm not up for that. Okay, thank you. And then we focus on what we're able to do, and that will grow. But this part where it's like, the constant, we're responsible for our own pleasure. Yeah. And we are here to live in pleasure. We're not here to pay fucking tax as the only thing that life is about. It's like we've been fed this construct that is like, no, that is just, it's part of life. But that as we know in the dating world, I'm a 50-year-old woman. It's the same thing. All of, these men that are really broken, and it's like they've lost hope. But it's to say, so what's your part of it, of that lost hope? Where do you get to be really honest with yourself, where you bought into a narrative that doesn't work for you either? A man this is why I work with men, like my course, Occupy Your Cock. It's like, for a man to be truly in his greatness is one of the most exquisite, delicious, fucking incredible, a man who's in his power, who has freedom, who's telling the truth, who's autonomous for his own life and his own energy and everything, is the most. It's like, oh my God, our body just like women's body, like fucking, I can't get enough of you.
It's super masculine.
Great, the woman can't get enough of you. You still have boundaries. I told you, sweetheart, I'm not ready till tomorrow. Awesome. Do you know what? She's open. Then you get to walk into the house and have sex with her straight away, because she's been waiting. She's been thinking of you, been putting in the, the 5 minutes. When people say, I don't have time for that. Really, you don't have 5-10 minutes a day for the woman that you want to enter into her body? And this whole thing where you're mentioning foreplay, it's not foreplay, it's core play. I say this to men all the time, and anyone who's listening to this, if you're a man that wants to have sex with a woman, you fucking well better need to understand how the woman's body works. Otherwise, use your hand and go to men for sex. But the sex is designed for the female body to feel more. And the majority of women have never even felt their body for 15 up to 20% of what it's capable for, because most people are masturbating with each other's bodies. They're not having sex. They're not in arousal. They're not in sex. They're not opening and surrender and all of this stuff. They're just masturbating with each other's bodies.
Well, also, I really feel that foreplay, or would you say core play?
Core play, it's non-negotiable. It's not an option.
I agree. I also think that with women, it is a lot of communication. So it's in the words that they say. A woman is turned on mindfully first.
Our map of arousal is head, heart, pussy. You can't open the pussy if you haven't done this work up here or here.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for selling it so much more elegantly than I did. But it's true. It's like women can read erotica and be so ready for anything. If men understood that sometimes words are more powerful than his fingers. And I would rather someone not even, I think that touch can be harder than it needs to be. For me, I like things more gently. And so I think words can be so much more powerful. And I think that a lot of women feel this way, and, they're turned on by like you said, their head. And if you can't turn me on by my head, you're not going to get my heart, and you're definitely not getting my vagina.
And this is also when you're talking about touch. Many men will and women do it too. Like men, I have male clients and I have male friends that we talk about where women are touching their genitals in the way that we think, which is too gently or this, and that's communication. But men are often touching women's body like they touch their cock, which can be really fucking aggressive. They often will use their cock as like, oh, I'm stressed or I'm bored. And so then then that's also the type of touch they're going is like, my body's not something to be bored with or aggressive with.
Right.
And it's all communication, and it's not a rejection. It's like, I'm here naked. I'm here willing to open myself to you, and this is what my body needs. So because this is the other thing, women are like water, men are like fire. Men are quick to ignite, and their map of arousal is their cock, and that's their spiritual work. Your work as a man is to bring that sexual energy up through your core, up into your brain, so that you can be taking notice of the nuances and the pivots that a woman's body does. And it's you are fire, you're on straight away, whereas a woman is water, which means she's cold for a long time, then she warms up and she's simmering, and fuck man, but once she's boiling, you better fucking hang on, and you need to go. You need to have the stamina, because if you've taken the time to get a woman to boiling, you're in for the fucking long haul, matey. There's no getting out. And don't you think that you can fucking leave the room by ejaculating in 10 minutes, because shit, that is going to be boom. That's like,
Yeah.
So yeah, and it does take work. I have a lot of men go, oh my God, it takes a lot of work. It's like, and yeah,
Right.
but we're not going to diminish ourselves because you can't be fucked or it's too boring for you. It's like, that's not what it's about. Not about that. And then there was something that you were saying, there was some of the best sex, like this young man that I'm playing with at the moment. You know, he's 16 years younger than me. He's practicing ejaculation, you know, mastery of his ejaculation, all of this stuff. We haven't even had penetrative sex yet. And I've had some of the most incredible fucking healing processes. I've had the most incredible orgasms. He's just been left there like not being able to talk. We haven't even got to PhD yet.
I love it.
You know?
I love it.
And this is the thing where sex is so much more than that. And if you can play in these arenas for so much longer, what you learn about yourself, what you learn, it's so much fun.
It is fun. And, you know, there was a time in my younger days that during dating, I would get to a point where I'm having sex with somebody and they wouldn't take the time to really get me there. And we'd be having sex and it'd be like, ugh, whatever. And then he'd be done and I'm just starting to get there. And I would have waited till he went home and then taken care of myself and then just be going, that was just disappointing, and be disappointed. And then there came a time that I was like, you know what? Nope, not doing that. So then I would start self-pleasuring and then he'd be taken over because he can't be outdone, you know. And then they would, finish. And then I would whip out the vibrator on my own hand and I would finish myself. And they'd be going, what are you doing? And I was like, well, you didn't, I'm what about my pleasure? And I used to be ashamed of that, and I'm not ashamed of that anymore. And if I don't get,
interesting, isn't it? Where the shame sits with the woman instead of the shame or the curiosity, like, oh fuck, I didn't take care of you. What can I do? But it's not. It's like it's all of this shame put on the woman. There's something wrong with her. Meanwhile, the person, is done and dusted in 12 minutes. And there's got nothing to do with our body, and we're the ones that are then, that sort of judgment is placed onto us, that there's something wrong with us, or we're the crazy ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is crazy. So we always have so much fun and we run out of time. But what I want to say is anybody who's listening today has not heard episode 41, Pleasure is Your Birthright. That was the first episode that Melissa came on. And that is a really, really smart, insightful episode. You are an extraordinary, sexy, beautiful, intriguing woman. Anybody who is within your orbit is quite fortunate and lucky. I'm sure he's a hottie little 16 years younger.
He's a bit of a showstopper.
Yeah, I used to go for the super, super young too. And it, after a while, it just felt like I was constantly teaching them and I got over that. So
this is that whole conversation, isn't it? I mean, when he tells me you're a witch and I practice ejaculation control, I'm like, there's nothing else to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. As long as they always know I'm magical and I'm a witch when we start out, then we're good to go.
We're good.
All right. We are good to fucking go. But my boyfriend knows I'm magical, so that's all good.
Of course he does, honey. Of course.
Right. Well, we are down to our last minute. Melissa, tell us how they can find you on TikTok or Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram, although, yes, that's all being controlled at the moment. The Pleasure Studio, the 3 words together, The Pleasure Studio. And then if you go into my bio, I've got my 6-week all men's course starting on the 17th of May. There's a couples course in there. And also in there, there's one-on-one coaching options to come in. I take clients on for 3 months to 6 months because this is what we're here. We're here for our greatness. We really are.
And speaking of greatness, you are definitely that. Thank you for coming on today's show. I truly appreciate you. I definitely want to have you back. You're always magical and perfect. Anybody who needs to learn more about yourself or your partner, go and check out Melissa. We hope you keep listening every week. We hope you enjoy the episodes. And until next week, same time, same place, let's keep it real.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends, like and follow us on Instagram at 50 Shades of _bullshit and Facebook at 50 Shades of Bullshit. Thanks so much for listening, and we really hope to see you again next week.